What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Messenger Fight Gear Elite XXQ boxing gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, and today we have a new brand here on the channel, so please join me in welcoming Messenger Fight Gear, and these are their Elite XXQ boxing gloves. I've been using them for a little over 4.5 to 5 months now. I got them in late December, early January, and all I can say is these are one of those gloves that you get and you're just pleasantly surprised as to how good they actually are. I posted a couple videos of me training in these, and I wanted to get my hands on a pair of Messenger gloves for a while because I always watch Simon from Fit to Box and Carlo from C Squared. I really appreciate their opinion. Always gives me ideas of what I can go look into for new gloves. And for me, I always look for the brands I can recommend to people that give really good top quality equipment, like professional level equipment that doesn't break the bank. And that's what both Carlo and Simon said about Messenger, and that the value for the money that you get with Messenger equipment is absolutely outstanding. And I'm in complete agreement already. So I wanted to get a pair of Messenger for a while, but when they reached out to me and asked me if I would review a couple of their gloves, I was immediately yes. It was an absolute yes. And I got to learn more about Messenger as a brand, and I was just really excited to finally review one of their gloves. And I love finding things like these. I call them diamonds in the rough because you can find a really good glove nowadays that's not going to break the bank but still give you really good professional quality. It's going to last as long as you need it to last, so long as you take care of it, and it beats getting into one of the major brands that's going to cost you an arm and a leg. So I really like how this brand really stands for that. They are proudly based out of Pakistan, and the owner that I've talked to actually comes from a long line of boxing equipment creators, and they've actually helped start a lot of brands worldwide. And Pakistan, actually, I want to say the statistic is a little over 77% of the world's boxing equipment is made in the country of Pakistan, which is really cool. And I remember growing up, there was a gentleman by the name of Fahim that was around the Albany, New York area. When we would go to boxing matches, he had a brand of his own called Last Round Boxing. And he said that they were just cheaper gloves that didn't have major brands on them, because he had a small workshop that made gloves for different brands that we know. And that's the same thing with Messenger. Mike Tyson now with Messenger. And basically he said their whole goal with Messenger was to create a really top quality glove the way they wanted to create it and help people, because he was telling me he didn't want to charge an arm and a leg for a pair of gloves when you don't have to. And that a lot of the times what you're paying for is the logo on gloves. And that happens all the time. Perfect example is that glove right there with Grant. That thing can run up to $600 to $800, but you can get something called New Sporting for more than half that, right? Or less than half that, basically. And that's basically what the owner of Messenger was saying. They want to try and help people at every stage of the game with good quality equipment that doesn't break the bank, that still gives you great training and keeps you safe and healthy. They want you to be able to be a seasoned professional or even a world champion and like the gloves. They like you to be a good amateur if you want these, even if it's your first day stepping into a gym, or hell, even if you're just a general fitness enthusiast that wants to go hit the bag for fun. That's their goal, is for you to have a great piece of equipment. And the other thing I do is I usually update brands as I get the gloves and say, this is what I've liked about them so far and everything else. And they stopped me and they said, don't tell us. We'll just see the review. That's how confident they were, and that's how much they want an upfront, honest review. So I already love the customer service end of of Messenger Fight Gear here. I already love their message. I already love what they're doing. And for me, if I can recommend a brand that does all that stuff and still last a while, that's a win for me. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the actual model that I have for you today. Again, these are the Elite XXQ boxing gloves, and I got them in 16-ounce hook and loop closure in the matte black color. Now, as far as the sizes, you can get tons of different sizes. You can get them in 8-ounce, 10-ounce, 10-ounce XL, 12, 14, 16, and 18-ounce. The only one that costs more than everything else is the 18-ounce. That's about a $25 upcharge, but I imagine that's because it's going to be a much bigger glove, and it costs more material and stuff like that. Therefore, the cost will go up a little bit. That's normal across the board. Funny enough, if you get a shirt that is 3XL, it actually costs about, usually $4 or $5 more. And I found that out when I made shirts for my last couple fights. And they always said, yeah, anything 2XL and below is normal. 3XL and up costs about $4 more. So that's probably why. So that's about $125 compared to the flat $100 for this glove. And then on top of it, you can get them in a bunch of different colors as well. I saw they had green, pink, there was a purple one, I believe. They also had orange. They had a white one. And they have a bunch of different colors to pick from. And on top of it, you can get a custom order of these. Obviously, that will take a little bit longer to get to you, but you can customize these gloves and they'll make them specifically to your hands. They'll take the measurements down and everything, which I think is awesome, especially for an affordable price. I think the custom versions might go, if I remember looking at the website correctly, like $150 or maybe a little bit more. I'll post a picture across the screen and that'll be more accurate than what I'm saying, I'm sure, but still you have customized options. And if Velcro isn't your go-to, they do have lace-up closures for this glove. So if you're more into just strictly boxing, they do have a lace-up closure, though I prefer Velcro for convenience. It works great for MMA, Muay Thai, all those other things, especially MMA, because you never know if you're going to swap between gloves like 8 times during a session. It just happens sometimes. But again, for your reference, I got them in the 16-ounce matte black hook and loop closure. That is the exact model I have. When we go into the look of the glove, like I said, we have a very basic looking glove, which honestly for me, a basic black glove is a winning design for me because black hides dirt very well and it's very easy to clean and maintain and you don't see stains or marks all that easy. And you can see that really nice matte black color looks brand new, just like it came out of the box a few months ago, and it looks absolutely awesome. And I've beat these gloves up pretty good over the last few months. You can see all that black coloration throughout the entirety of the glove. The stitching's black and everything like that, but I like the little reflective material when it comes to the lettering here, and it says Messenger going down there in a very basic font, but it gives it that nice almost like elegant type shine to it at the back. So it gives it that really nice thing. It's kind of like you have one solid color and then that little bit reflective just adds a little bit of zing to it, I guess you could say. Then when we go over to the tips of the fingers, again, the same exact matte black color. The thumb attachment is that matte black. The thumb is all matte black. The stitching for the thumb is all black as well. We go over to the palm and you can see on the inside, we have a lot of breathe holes. That way the actual glove will breathe out really good, so that's part of the look of the glove as well. And you see we have cross stitching going all the way throughout the glove to keep it nice and reinforced as well. That is all black. When we open the glove up, you can see it also says it's distinctly different across the back there. That's also in that reflective font that you have going throughout there. And what's nice about that, when you open it up, it says that there. And I like that message because they are in a lot of ways distinctly different in that they are a really nice brand that's not going to charge you an arm and a leg. Trust me, a lot of these brands are really just out for the profit. In this case, Messenger, sure, of course, they're there to make money, but they're also there to make sure that you're having a good training experience, which I really like. So I like it distinctly different because they are a very different brand in that way, that they're really trustworthy. Then on top of that, the interior lining is also black. As you can see, the elastic strap in the center is black, and it also has a tag on the inside that it says Elite Edition XXQ. And that's a nice shiny tag. Then on the other side, I believe it's just a warning that, it says made in Pakistan. It basically says, yeah, you're basically, be careful, boxing's dangerous is all it's telling you. Then on top of it, when we go ahead and close the glove, we go to the back. It says Messenger Fight Gear, Boxing / Martial Arts, distinctly different with the Pakistan flag at the base there. That is a cloth badge with silver lining, and it looks really nice. It gives that nice little touch at the end. And of course at the base, just to prove that I got 16 ounces, there's a little tag that flips over too and also tells you, flips up, I should say, not over. And it also tells you, if you can see the other side, that it's 16 ounces. So it's a very basic looking glove, but trust me, I always tell you guys, some of the best gloves you're ever gonna use is just usually a logo and a solid color, and that's all you need. I mean, if you want further proof, look at a brand like Winning. I mean, it's literally a purely white glove with an oval logo, and that's it. So you don't need anything that looks that great. It's just an added bonus. In this case, it's a very clean design and a very clean look. I like the matte black, gives it that nice classic look to it. And I just overall like how the glove is basic in design. When we go into the actual build of the glove, that's when we could talk about the outer shell. It's made of a very nice top grain leather. So top grain is one step below full grain in that they kind of shave all the imperfections off just to kind of keep it really easy to work with. It's still virtually just as good as full grain. The easiest way I could word it is full grain is what the cow, like what the sun beats down on, that's what you see. And again, all it is just shaving some of the imperfections off. It's just as durable. It's just as good for the most part. It just doesn't have the natural marks and stuff. But you can still see in top grain the natural grain marks going throughout the leather itself. So all those creases and wrinkles aren't just the way the leather folds, those are actually the grain marks of the hide itself. So it is a really good quality leather that you have going on here, and it's a very plush hide, and it's a very thick hide as well. Because a lot of the times when you get gloves that are cheaper, made in Pakistan, the leather is really kind of like paper-like and thin. In this case, it actually has a really thick texture to it, and it's actually a pretty soft hide. And it's a lot better than most gloves would probably give you around that price point of $100. And it has a really clean leather scent to it. It smells like a brand new pair of leather shoes. It smells like a belt almost, or a wallet. It has that type of fit and feel to it. And the leather feels really soft right out of the box. And it's a very smooth glove because of that outer shell. It molds really well to the padding as well, because it's stitched perfectly over top of it. Doesn't tighten down on the padding so much. It gives the padding room to breathe, so the padding itself feels soft when you take it out of the bag. On top of that, the padding that we have going on here is a multi-layered high-density foam, and it feels amazing. When you push in on this, it's a very soft glove, and I love that because it's safe overall for your hands and for your partners. I really like how the padding felt soft right out of the box, and it broke in just a little bit more, not too much more, and it's really nice. You can see how it squishes in, and basically when I squish that in, you can see that the center goes right to the knuckles, and it goes right over the knuckles and gives it that nice cradling feel. So you're trying to have those high density open cell foams that are there to really just kind of cushion and cradle the knuckles at all times. On top of it, it feels like one solid mold that you have, except I think they probably stitched on the thumb afterwards, and you can see we kind of have more of like a Japanese-esque thumb. You know, it's a little bit wider in my opinion, and it tucks behind the knuckles really well. So you have a pretty good solid thumb for a natural punch position, and that's made out of the same exact padding that you have in the knuckles here. So I believe it's one solid mold of high-density multi-layered foams. That's what you got going on there. And if I had to guess, it's probably a 3 or 4 layer foam mold that you have going on here. And it's in a perfect curve as well. So I like when the gloves curve perfectly like this, because all you gotta do is close a little bit and it's just a perfect squeeze, and you can also open it easily. So I like that design that they have. On top of it, that padding goes towards the back of the wrist and top of the hand, so it stops the shock from, you know, damaging the bones and the ligaments that are back of your hand, like the metacarpals and stuff like that, and your wrist bones as well from popping upwards. So that's good. So the back of the glove feels really nice. The thumb is in a really good position. The thumb attachment is perfectly balanced for me. You have enough room to open it up wide and at the same time keep it in tight, and you have no real risk of poking anyone in the eye if that was anyone's concern. In this case, I don't see any concern that you would get poked. Then if we come over to the tips of the fingers, you also have a lot of excess padding here for the tips of the fingers, so it's really comfortable on the inside, good for like grabbing and stuff like that, because some gloves simply don't have padding down here. It's just basically padding, and then it stops at the very end of the tips of the fingers, but you have really good soft grip here. And then we go to the grip bar, which is just as soft as the rest of the glove, and that's a really nice fit and feel, and it gives you a really solid grip on the inside. I prefer a softer grip bar because I think you're able to make more of a natural fist. If you have a firm grip bar, it kind of prevents you from making that natural fist. All those breathe holes are just there to kind of let the glove air out a bit. So long as you take the glove out of the bag, it's pretty good at being moisture wicking. We come down here, you can see all the double line stitching that's going throughout the glove. You got the black piping here, which is also made out of that leather, so it's really durable. The elastic strap is there just to keep the glove tight to your hand on the inside. And the thumb piping here is actually really soft, just like the rest of the glove, so that way it's not too tight on the inside of your thumb either. The wrist strap, once we get down to here, in the base of the glove, you'll notice when we open it up, has a lot of really soft foams. Feels like a softer EVA foam here towards the base and also on the inside, which is great for catching punches and just overall protection. And of course, these foams are here to balance out the glove a little bit more as well. But they're very soft. For me, it's nice whenever you're catching kicks and stuff in MMA or Muay Thai, you're able to kind of just take a little bit of steam off it, and it does help a little bit if you're blocking kicks. You also have a lot of stiff EVA foam more on the back of the wrist for stable wrist support, and you can see how the glove is split into two. So they probably had the one solid foam mold at the top with the multi-layered foams, and then you also have the base that attaches there just for the extra wrist support. And you can see it is a smaller profile glove as far as height goes. Has more of like that Muay Thai glove shape to it, where it's not so long on your arm. So it does kind of fit to your hand a little bit better in that way, in my opinion. But some people may not like that, because usually when you have a shorter wrist cuff, it means the glove may not have the best wrist support. In this case, the glove does have very good wrist support, and I'm going to go into that in a second. You have a very strong, thick wrist strap that's basic, just like a lot of other gloves. It's just right on the outside here. The Velcro holds very strong, and the interior lining is a very soft poly cotton on the inside, and it's very moisture wicking. It does not soak up moisture at all, really. It's very easy to just take it out of your bag for like 20 minutes and it dries out very quickly. I put this on just to test it literally on my glove purifier for like 10 minutes on the dry setting, and it's good to go. And I do test whenever I get a glove. I leave it in my bag overnight in case some people do that, and it was still pretty dry at the end of it. Granted, my bag is a little bit vented, but at the same time, it does help. Make sure you just take stuff out of the bag. It's a very soft interior lining, and it fits perfectly. Your hand slides in just like this. The lining isn't baggy, at least my model is not baggy at all. And the grip bar, again, feels good, and my fingers hook perfectly. I have short fingers, so it's that my hands are big, but my fingers are really short in length. I have size 14 rings, so they're fat fingers, but when I go ahead and get that grip, again, you can see that natural punch position. My thumb is tucked behind. Whenever I close my fist, my knuckles line up right there, and I'm good to go. So I don't need to overcompensate or anything. Now, the wrist support is actually really solid, because when you pull this strap tight, it is such a small profile glove that is staying on your wrist bone at all times. So when you punch, it definitely stops the shock before it gets to the wrist. But I could see people, if they have bad wrists, and they, maybe if your wrists tend to do that, I can definitely see that happening for some people. My hands and wrists are pretty solid. I don't often have that bend in the wrist. I sometimes try and force that to happen on the bag safely so I don't break something. But I've never had my wrist, snap downward or snap upward so much. It stabilizes your wrist pretty good from going up and down. But if you need like a big wrist strap that goes farther down on the wrist, it may be not the right glove for you, but for me, it's awesome, especially if you do MMA or Muay Thai, because it can open very easily. And when I say the grips feel stronger than some of the Thai gloves I have, like the Veritex BGV1 here, these have, for me, stronger grips than those. I guess the only thing about the interior lining I haven't liked so far is that the thumb gets kind of rough after a while. It gets, it's kind of like when you have fuzzies pop out of some stitching and stuff. But it's still very comfortable. It doesn't really stop me from training. It's just, I notice it. And that's not really a knock on it, because tons of gloves, even that are in like the $300 to $400 range, do that. That's just friction. It's going to happen over time. But otherwise, the interior lining is very soft and plush. You can feel all the foam on the back of your fingers and knuckles, and your hand doesn't really get tired after long sessions either. It's really protective. I've really enjoyed using these. The wrist support's really nice, and overall, it's a really pretty good glove. The only thing is, if you don't like top-heavy gloves, this might not be the good glove for you, because as you can see, it is very top-heavy. I personally like forward-punching gloves because of my style. I have more of, I guess, a modified cuss style, I guess you could say. I really like a forward punching glove. In this case, it's perfect for me, but as you can see, if we go into the middle of the glove, it immediately dips down towards the top of the glove. All the weight primarily is in the top. So if you need a more balanced glove that's a little bit taller and evenly distributed, this may not be the right glove for you. But for me, if you want a shorter glove that's great for MMA, Muay Thai, and even boxing, that has a really nice forward punch, it's awesome in that way. But let's go ahead and get into the bag work, and then we'll come back with my final thoughts. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I love forward punching gloves that have more of the weight going towards the front and that are a little bit more compact on the arm. I don't like gloves that eat the arm so much, and these are perfect if you like that short, compact feel. If you like brands such as Hayabusa or other Thai brands like Fairtex and Twins that are short, this is a great Western style boxing glove with that short type of design. So it protects the knuckles really well, the wrist support's incredible, and the clinch that you get with these for MMA and Muay Thai sparring's outstanding. Very, very overall protective glove, very comfortable, and I absolutely love hitting the bags with these. So when it comes to the look of the gloves, they're very basic with just the black design, but I always tell you black is a very good color to start with because it's very easy to clean, hides dirt very well, and it also just goes with everything you're going to wear. Very sharp looking black. I like the matte color. It doesn't eat the light too much, and you can still see that reflective messenger. Overall, I think you're going to appreciate the simplicity when you get punched in the face with these. All right, folks, my final verdict here for the Elite XXQ boxing gloves by Messenger Boxing is I have thoroughly enjoyed using these gloves, and like I said at the beginning of the video, these are just one of those gloves where you get them out of the box and you try them, you're just pleasantly surprised as to how good they are. For the price point, which is $100 for these gloves, plus shipping and stuff at the end of the day, will go for about, I imagine, upwards of $120. That is still a really good buy for the glove that you're getting with these. I think they're incredibly versatile, meaning that you can use them for any type of sport, whether it be kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, regular boxing. I think it's great for any sport, and I do put them in a really good category in like the lower pro tier level. These are not their top model that they have on their website, but it is still a very solid glove that I think any level would appreciate and try. They don't feel cheap, which is great. You know, that's the one thing. You get gloves like these around that $100 mark. Sometimes they cheap out on the materials, and that's not what we have going on here. It is actually a really solid, good quality glove. So let's go into the things that I like about the glove. Again, talking about that quality, the leather you would think with a $100 glove just wouldn't be as good as other brands. You know, sometimes when you talk about like even Fairtex, like those Thai leathers are very good, and most Thailand like Thai gloves are a little bit cheaper than some other ones out there. But in this case, this leather feels very similar to gloves like the Fairtex BGV1, which can go up for $70, $80 to $100 now, and it feels very similar in durability, if not better than some gloves that you might even spend $150 on. And on top of it, if you don't want like a synthetic leather glove, then you have a really good leather option here. And the best part is I can tell that it's not a cheap leather because it hasn't cracked or faded quickly. When you have cheaper leather gloves, the leather will start to show wear pretty much immediately, such as water damage and things along those lines from your sweat. And it usually wrinkles towards the crease of the glove down by the wrist strap. And a lot of ringside gloves do that, and most everything that ringside makes is from Pakistan. And you'll even see things like their gel shock towards the bottom, the leather will start to crease. Title boxing stuff, their leather will start to crease at the bottom because they're just not made the same. Those are genuine leather, and genuine leather is more at the base part of it. If you ever see a stamp that says genuine leather, it's just telling you it's made from leather. But then there are gloves that are actually made from genuine leather. This is not genuine leather. This is top grain leather, right? And top grain is a very good, durable hide. It's a very thick hide, and all it is full grain, which is the best type of leather you can get. And they just shave the imperfections off. So like the very top part of the grain. But when I say it's such a minute difference, it is virtually unnoticeable unless you know what you're looking for. So the leather that you have here, very, very durable, very well made. And I absolutely love that it's easy to take care of. And on top of it, it's a very soft and supple leather as well. So you can work your products into the leather very easily. The softer the leather, the easier it is to actually take care of, in my opinion. When it's really stiff and rugged, you have to really work it into the leather to try and get it to soften up and feel more natural. So the leather on the outside is what shocked me most about the glove, is actually how good it is for a $100 glove. The other thing I love about it is just how versatile the glove is. For me, the grips that you get in these for like Muay Thai or MMA big glove sparring is absolutely astounding. I was able to actually get grips like double wrist locks or Kimuras, rear naked chokes, double leg, single leg, high crotch lifts and stuff like that were really nice when it came to these gloves. So I liked how that was there. So the transition from striking to grappling in these was actually really good. So that's why I say they're not just good for boxing, but they're good for MMA fighters. They're good for Muay Thai fighters. They're good good for kickboxers. They're a very good, versatile glove. Comfort is another top thing with this glove. The interior lining feels like a very nice silk pillow on the back of your hand, and it just feels like you're wearing a new pair of pajamas. It's very plush on the inside. It fits really good on the back of your hand. It's very smooth to the touch, and it also doesn't get soaked and ruin the glove, which is nice. It's not the best compared to some other brands I've tried as far as like the moisture wicking. It does absorb a little bit, but not a lot. It's normal for some gloves to absorb the sweat. In this case, this does a really good job of kind of wicking that. But whenever you get a type of poly cotton foamy interior lining, it's not going to resist it as much as like some satins or especially nylon interior lining that you get. Those will just kill moisture immediately. This does maintain just a slight bit of it, but that's really not a problem. The comfort of the interior lining and the overall fit and feel of the glove is great. You also have tons of room on the inside to wrap your hands if you need the extra protection, but that's another part where the glove shines. The knuckle padding is just as good as some other gloves that I spent $200 on, and some gloves around the same price of $100 to $150. The multi-layered foams that you have on the inside really cradle your knuckles well. They do have a little bit of a give to it, so you have a really nice recoil on the bags, and I think it also helps that it is a forward motion glove and that it has a lot more weight towards the front, so it does emphasize knuckle protection, and good knuckle protection can also stop shock going to the rest of the hand, which also means decent wrist support most of the time. So overall, the quality, the durability, I could see these gloves lasting you upwards of 2 years. They did tell me that they claimed they could get up to 4 or 6 years depending on the model that you have, which I think is incredible. But I think with really heavy use, and if you beat these things down, even if you take good care of them, I would safely say, just for me to you, 2.5 to 3 years if you take very good care of them. Then going into the things that maybe I would change or some people wouldn't like would be, it is a very top heavy glove. I personally like top heavy gloves. That's just how my punching style is. It helps me kind of punch forward sometimes. Some people don't like that because they think this is basically what your wrist support is. It's almost gone, but you can see how it snaps back because of that stiff EVA foam at the back. Some people might think the wrist support is not the best with this glove. If you have like chronic wrist issues and you don't like a glove that has any risk of bending down or up as you punch, you might not want to look into this glove because it is so top heavy. You can definitely see that all the weight goes towards the top. I mean, it's flopping back and forth like this, but it doesn't mean for me that the wrist support was bad. I thought it was pretty spot on. I personally like when the wrist strap is right over my wrist. Some really high-end gloves have the same type of structure and they're very well balanced, but in this case, you've got the heavy foams towards the top and the lighter foams towards the bottom. Naturally, it's going to be a little bit top heavy. So it may not be for you in that department if you have chronic wrist issues and if you don't like a top heavy glove. And also the only concern I do have, although the interior lining is very comfortable, like I said, on the inside of the thumb, I can already tell that some of it's like it's starting to fray out a little bit. Very common issue that you get with a lot of gloves, but that does concern me that that's going to happen with the rest of the interior lining over time. But I haven't had that happen yet, but that's just something that I might look into down the future and maybe update you guys with. The other thing that I don't know if you guys were able to notice a little bit, I don't really weigh my gloves often, and I didn't even weigh them now, but for me, they feel like they weigh exactly the same. If anything, honestly, the left feels slightly heavier, but you notice that my right glove is actually just a smidge taller, which is interesting. And I don't know why that's the case. I don't know if it's just like the padding over loops, but you can definitely see that this is a taller glove. It's not the way my table's shaped. I'll even show you. I'll flip it around that way. It's still slightly taller and looks slightly wider. So I don't really know what that's about. And that might be some concerns as far as like quality control, as far as maybe like size or labeling, whatever it might be. They feel exactly the same weight. Maybe I'll weigh it and then I'll put it across the screen for you to see. I don't always weigh my gloves because for me, you're going to train in them anyway, you know. That's just my feeling behind it. But that's one thing that was kind of concerning that I've noticed throughout me using them, is that it did feel like my right glove was slightly bigger than my left, which is interesting. But still a great glove to use nonetheless. So what rating would I give these gloves? Well, I would definitely put them, I'd say, in the B tier of good glove. I think they were a lower level professional glove, and I would probably give them a solid 8 out of 10. I really do enjoy these gloves. I think they would work for a lot of people, especially if you're getting to that point where you're starting to know what equipment you want, what type of puncher you are, what your style is, and what you're looking for. This is a great glove to start with. I think if you have really good, if you like softer gloves and you like making good contact, you like a forward punching smaller glove, this is definitely a really good choice for you. But just understand that maybe it's a bit too top heavy for some, and that if you like a more balanced glove, it may not be for you. But again, Messenger has some other gloves out there, which I will be doing a review on, that are, in my opinion, a little bit more well balanced. On top of that, very good quality, very easy to clean and maintain. Very comfortable glove, and it's very affordable as well. I think you would have to wait a little bit, like 10 to 15 days if you're ordering from Pakistan to the United States, but it's also great because Messenger has amazing customer service. Even if you message them on their social media, they're very quick to get back to you, and they're the nicest people. I swear, one of the nicest brands I've ever worked with, and I really appreciate them sending me these gloves for me to review. And the other part about it is they're an honest brand too. So if you have an issue, they will help you out, not just because that's their job, because they want to make sure that you're covered and you have equipment that's great. But for me, again, I call them a good glove. They're solid. I would recommend them to a lot of people, especially at my gym, if they're looking for something better than, say, like their $30 Santables, especially if they're looking for something better than some, you know, like cheaper ringside gloves and stuff like that. Definitely a good entry-level pro glove for me, and it's great for multiple sports. But again, if you don't like top-heavy gloves and you want a little bit better wrist support, I would look elsewhere. Messenger does have some other models too. But guys, I hope I answered all your questions about these gloves, and if I didn't, please comment below and let me know, and also let me know what gloves you want me to review next. And as always, message me on all my social media pages and reach out to me through my email. A lot of you guys have been using that lately, and ask me any questions that you have. And on top of that, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get more reviews just like this. And 3 small clicks for you mean 3 big steps for the channel. We're at 11.7 thousand subscribers already. That's absolutely incredible. We're so close to 12 already, and that's all because of you guys, and I appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I try and get back to you as fast as I can, and I really appreciate all the support. So with that said, thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for choosing your source for combat sports, the Combat Corporation. I've been your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and as always, I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.